Hey guys, Michael Winiger, CEO of Santi Organics, and we're going to do a follow-up video about compensation plans because I got a question, and we talked a little bit about the binary compensation plans, right? Binaries have made more millionaires in the networking industry than all the other compensation plans added together in the history of this industry. Plus, it's the youngest of the compensation plans, and there's a reason for it. And a few reasons for it, right? But you want to watch out for a few things. There's a few components in the binaries that you don't want to get yourself wrapped up into. So Patrick asked me on Facebook, he goes, could you explain a little bit about the definitions of capping and flushing and cycling and purging and what that actually means? These are the things that you want to stay away from, okay? Why? Well, let's first start with purging and flushing. They're very similar. They're distinct, but they're very similar. So purging in a compensation plan will happen over a long period of time. So what happens when you're working with a binary or a two-teamed compensation plan, what will happen is that one leg will take off quicker than the other, and it will always be that way. It can never mathematically be even. It can on paper, but it can't in reality, right? So when one leg's going crazy, all you have to really do is build the other leg, because everybody's going to have a power leg. Sooner or later, one's going to take off, and that's good. That's a good thing. And then it allows you to work on the other side, and then hopefully in the perfect scenario, in the end, when you're making your money off your binary compensation, the lifeline of your compensation, it's going to flip for 2 weeks, flip for 2 weeks, flip. And then what I mean by flipping, it's going to pay on the left for 2 weeks, pay on the right for 2 weeks, pay on the left, right? And then you got yourself a perfect build. And it will happen. It just takes time, right? But purging. Purging is over a long period of time. The company will all of a sudden take away the volume on your power leg. And that might happen in situations where somebody no longer owns that position anymore, or they want to give it to a family member, and it's outside of their family. They just want to give it to a friend or whatsoever. They would start the legs over both from zero, and the company will keep that money. Not good. Not good at all. And it's not good because we're going to talk about flushing, because they both fall under the same definition. Flushing. Flushing means that they're going to take away the volume on the power side. And what happens is when they flush, it's either going to go back to a certain number or it's going to go back to zero. And sometimes they'll let that power leg go to a big number, $300,000, $350,000, and then they'll flush it back to wherever they want to flush it to. I've seen companies that would wait till that power legs get to $100,000, and then maybe you got $99,000 in volume one day, and you go to sleep that night, somebody puts a $1,000 order in, and the next day it's back to 15, 20, whatever that number might be. Look, why is somebody stealing your money? That's all I got to ask. You should never ever have to purge, and you should never ever have to flush that volume. First off, when you go out there and you build a business, it's your business, not mine, not anybody else's. Yours. You built it. You went out there and you built an organization. That's your organization. It's not mine. It's not anybody else's. It's yours. You built it. And when that money's coming in the door, no matter what leg it falls on, that's your money. And that should be a holding bank account. Give you an example. Here at Santi Organics, we don't do anything like that. We don't believe in stealing, because that's all it really is. Taking people's money, their hard-earned money that they produced, the volume they produced, and taking it away from them and sticking it in our own pockets. No good. So some people have $5, $6, $7 million on their power leg. That's beautiful. That's great. And you know what? That's a good situation, because God forbid a person, can't work their business for a year or 18 months. Their volume doesn't go away. because you built it, you earned it, it sits there and it waits for you. And it doesn't just sit there, it actually keeps growing and growing and growing. So I've heard somebody say in this business who wasn't too intellectual about compensation plans saying, well, you know what, I think flushing is really good because it keeps people, having to work towards something. Let me tell you something. When a compensation plan flushes your volume, all that does is keep you on a hamster wheel for the rest of your entire life. There is no beach money. There is no I can retire, because guess what? Sooner or later, that leg's going to hit that certain number and it's going to go back. So what it does is it forces you to keep working and keep working. So the subtraction happens and it doesn't even reach that number because you're afraid for it to reach that number. It's a scary thing. We shouldn't have to build our businesses out of fear. Not at all. So stay away from purging. Stay away from flushing. It's unethical, and it should never be done to anybody because there's no sense for anybody or any owners to take your money and stick it in their own pockets for no reason at all. Now, we're going to talk about capping. What does capping mean? Capping means that a company will only allow you to make a certain amount of money per week, or a certain amount of cycles. So, and we'll talk about that in a second, what the definition of a cycle is. And maybe we'll do that first. The definition of a cycle is this, is that in the binaries that do that, which I don't like at all, because you're not worried about helping anybody achieve success. You're worried about the juggling you have to do, the 2/3, 1/3, this much volume over here, that much volume over here, so I can cycle and get whatever the amount is, $30, $40, $50, which is really nothing, because when you really think about it, you have to think like this. How much money am I bringing in the door? If I have to have 3 people on this side doing $100 and 6 people over here, that's $900. And then you make whatever it is you make. Take $900, divide it by how much you're making there, or I'm sorry, take the number that you made, the amount of money, divide it by the $900, and you know the percentage that you're getting paid. And when you start seeing percentages like 4, 5, 6%, that's extremely low. I think to me, it's a little bit of a mind game, because you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to cycle this many times, but it doesn't matter. You're still only making a very teeny, weeny cycle. That's it. That's all you get. So take the number, that volume, so whatever it is, 3, 6, whatever the balance is there, and then you cycle and get paid. Take the amount of money you get paid, divide it against the volume that came in, find out what your percentage is. That's what you're going to get paid for the rest of your life. Not a good thing. And then, so that's how cycling works. So they do it according to so much volume on one side and so much volume on the other, or they do it with people on one side plus the volume against people on the other side and their volume, and then you have a cycle. And now it comes to capping. That's when these companies say, you can only cycle this many times per week, and you can only make up to this much per week. And in the beginning, you think, wow, that's a lot of money. If all I can make is $25,000 or $27,000 a week, that's pretty good. That's a lot of money. Well, let me tell you something. The guy that got me into my first company today, from that company, still makes about $300,000, $400,000 a week. That's not good in that situation, because with the same amount of people, the same amount of volume, and the same amount of money coming through the door, this particular company says, guess what? Here is your $100,000 or your $25,000 for the week, and by the way, the other $275,000, that's mine. Thank you very much for your business. Not good. So you got to think about long term, because that's what you're in this for. 3, 5, 10 years down the way, when all of a sudden you can't cycle anymore and they got you capped out, now what happens? You know what happens? Here's what they try and do at this point. They might have a component in their compensation plan that says, once you only get so many cycles, and you keep consistently making that much money, we'll let you put another position above you, so your position is in that power leg, and now you got a problem. Now you got to build 3 legs, and you got to try and keep those balanced, because now you're working on 2 for here on this spot, and this one's already taken care of, but now you got to start building another leg. That means you're getting punished for becoming successful, because now you got to try and manage 2 positions, 2 legs, and keep 2 more auto ships turned on. Think about how that works, right? What about allowing somebody to have 1 position, no flushing, no capping, no cycling, no purging, nothing? Let the power leg go as much money as you possibly can and pay you a percentage to infinity. No gimmies, gotcha, hoops, hurdles, headaches, trapdoors, secret passageways. No capping, flushing, cycling, purging. No circus acts for you to get your money, because where you make money in these compensation plans is not in those little fast start bonuses or anything like that. It's what's going to pay you for the rest of your life on the back end. The back end of consumable products. Hopefully consumable products that are considered commodities, because commodities are necessities, not specialty items. That's the key. So when you see the capping and the cycling, run, because there's going to be some tricks in there all the time. And then there's no reason to cap anybody. Nobody. There's no reason to say you can only do this much a week or do this many cycles, because they're making so much profit. Because all you have to do, again, is divide how much volume came in the door. So what you do is you take how much you got paid and divide it against the volume for you to cycle, and you know the percentage that you got paid. And when you do that math, you're going to go, wow, not good. So those are the 4 things that Patrick wanted me to talk about, so you would understand them. And if you see any of that in any of those compensation plans, remember, that money is going somewhere, and it's going directly to the owners. They got it all figured out. They got a way to figure it out to get more of your money. And to leave you with one note, I'll give you an example of, an extreme example, but an example that happens all the time. The president of Asante Organics was in another company, and I told him the components of that compensation plan he was working with, and I told him what was going to happen when they were going to flush. And he went to bed on a Friday night, and he woke up the next morning, and $1.3 million was gone from his power leg. Gone, completely vanished. And then every month after that, it was flushing, because that's the way their compensation plan worked. Now, that's just one person. So take a database of 20 and 30 and 40,000 people and look at how much money is being taken away from the people that are building their business. So remember, it's not their business. It's your business. It's your organization. It's your money coming in the door. Be able to max it out immediately. All of it. Because all we are, and all the network marketing companies, we're the researchers, the developers, the producers, we're the manufacturers. We warehouse this for you. We ship it in a timely manner. People get it, and you get paid. That's the function of what we should be doing. Not figuring out a whole bunch of tricks in a compensation plan to create a bunch of breakage and all these things so we can try and get more of the money that you deserve. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Hopefully that cleared up what those terms meant, and we'll see you on Toxic Free Friday. Take care, guys. God bless you all.